Okay.
All right. Let's go. You can go.
What is going on, Brad Caldwell?
Ben Baker. Nobody dresses better in real estate than Ben Baker.
Well, no, that's not the case. I tell you what, we've got some young kids over at Preston Road right now that are just bringing it all day. So I appreciate you joining in because I know that your time is short and you just finished a meeting and it's crazy. We've got this Go event out here at Globe Life, and I'm thankful for those who Tavis who slipped out, Steve who slipped out. We'll be back in 20 minutes, but I think it was very important that I have a friend, a buddy, a colleague, a business partner, a mentor. Brett, you know, you've been all of that and more to me. And I'm so glad that we were able to get you on, and hopefully you guys can hear me because it's pretty busy out here. And Brett, you'll find that half of the audience is sitting in Globe Life. So there's probably about 2,500 that are sitting out there. And we're here at, because Steve and I had never been, I think Tavis, we've never been to Globe Life. So we're sitting here in one of the concession areas, you know, making the adjustment, pivoting how we have to do. But without further ado, bro, I appreciate you jumping on, and we're anxious to hear whatever it is you want to share with us today.
Yeah, so you can ask me questions, or are we going to roll with it?
Yeah, just roll with it. Like I had mentioned, I think that, you know, this audience would love to hear, because again, tell them where you're at, because we want to make sure that if anyone has a need, has a referral, maybe you won't handle it, but you're a great contact there in the Atlanta area. So tell them where you're at and what your current role is.
Yeah, so I'm an operating principal of 7 different Keller Williams offices. I've got 6 in Atlanta, Georgia, and then the Rockwell office in Dallas, Texas. So what's interesting is I study both markets. So I study both the Dallas-Fort Worth market and I study the Atlanta, Georgia market, and we track the stats weekly. You can actually go and look at the stats that I track if you go to the website, therealestatestats.com. And I mean, it's nothing more than a MLS tracking sheet, Ben. And it's the same thing we've been teaching agents to do for years, is track your numbers on a weekly basis, just so you're up to speed on the market, right? But what's really interesting about it is anything you read in NAR right now has both those markets, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Atlanta, Georgia, in the top 4, top 5 real estate markets predicted to thrive in 2023. And what I think is really interesting around that, Ben, is why. And the truth is, it's an affordability thing, and it's a new construction thing, and it's an unemployment thing. And when you start to study real estate, whether you go to, you're probably going over some statistics there at your conference, or you go to a Keller Williams event, data matters. And, you know, unemployment in Dallas, Fort Worth, or unemployment in Atlanta, Georgia, they're like around 3%, give or take. And which basically means if you want a job, you got a job. It may not be the best job, but you got a job. And why is that important? That's such a big factor to buying and selling real estate. And the Metroplex in Dallas and the Metroplex in Atlanta are basically fully employed. The average sales price in both of them, they're a little bit like sister cities in the sense that the affordability of buying a house in the $300,000 to $400,000 range is very affordable compared to most of the country. And all these factors from just new construction, opportunities, affordable real estate, it's all causing the real estate markets to just be primed to thrive in 2023. And whether you live where I live in Atlanta or sell real estate in Dallas, Fort Worth, or if you're not in one of those, I'm sorry, but we're blessed to be selling real estate in major areas that are primed to thrive in 2023 for sure. Ben, it's just a good living and it's a good place to live, right? What else do you want me to cover? I mean, the agents that I see that are winning. So Ben, you asked me to cover like what are we seeing and how are people winning? I was just talking to a room of agents before I came here, and I said, think about the pandemic. And there's a lot of positives that came from the pandemic, meaning we reallocated what our time was and where our important time and with our family and how we chose to spend our time. What prioritized in our life may have gotten out of balance, and we reprioritized that. But I also think the pandemic made us lazy. And we went home. We weren't in an office environment. We weren't in all the disciplines we had created prior to the pandemic kind of went out the window. And we thought it was good because the market was so good. We were winning, but we weren't winning because we were good. We were winning because the market was so good. And now that the market's not exactly winning, are we winning? Probably not, because all the bad habits we created during the pandemic are all of a sudden now in front of us. And whether it's a health habit, whether it's a discipline around prospecting, a discipline around marketing our business. Hey, I remember when I got in the business in 1999, I could put one postcard in the mail to a neighborhood and get a listing. Like it was that easy. And then all of a sudden I had to relearn how to go get business. Well, the pandemic, if you wanted to sell real estate, you were going to sell some real estate. It was out there. Well, now all of a sudden you got to go get it again. And not everybody knows how to do that or has forgotten how to do that. And at the end of the day, 2023 is going to be the year of the professional, the one that goes back and gets it and does it the right way and sheds the bad habits you created during the pandemic. And can I cuss on here? Get your
Absolutely.
ass back here. All right, good.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
All right.
I try not to drop any F-bombs, but
Okay, there you go. All right.
bring ass all day and kick ass is what we're going to do. Right.
It's a year of a professional. It's a year of discipline. It's a year of getting everything back going.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing of what 2023 is going to become for all of us. It is, how do we get back to being professionals?
Right.
And professional is not defined by how much money you make. Professional is defined by how you play the game.
Yes.
And showing up and prospecting and marketing and being disciplined is what tells me if you're a professional, not by your bank account.
Completely agree. I think also, we talk about scaling up, and hopefully you guys can hear me. I think this is when we also need to be competent, and we need to be able to show that competency to our communities. Matter of fact, I see a young man who had asked me a question about 30 minutes ago. He's Turkish, and he wants to serve more than just that community. And I told him that's easy. He doesn't have to pigeonhole himself. What he has to do is he has to show up and he has to bring the competency, because when folks know that he cares, Caucasians will use him, Mexicans will use him, Blacks will use him, Asians will use him, when they know that he knows his stuff. And it's not about serving one community, it's about serving all. That's my business. So yeah. I think he got value from that. Brett, I think you would agree that, because I've been telling folks, and I've got a large mastermind on Thursday, and for me, one of the themes around that is we're not going to kick tail in 2023 by ourselves. we're going to need community. We're going to need support. That doesn't mean you've got to be with Mind Company or Remax or Compass. But I do think that you're going to need collaboration from like-minded eagles who fly in the same direction you fly. I think you would agree. And I've been doing more of that, reaching out to, I mean, Steve and I, we chat all the time. Kelly and I, we chat all the time. Russ and Bob, I surround myself with, I think, other eagles who are soaring high. And I'm telling people today that, we're going to the top. And if you're afraid of heights, get out of the way, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where we're headed. So,
I was watching the national championship game last night, and the announcers were kind of surprising Tim Tebow with his college Hall of Fame announcement that he was getting into the College Football Hall of Fame. And they were kind of throwing some compliments at him. And he said, listen, he said, I appreciate that, but at the end of my career, you wouldn't be making that announcement if I hadn't surrounded myself with incredible disciplined people that helped me be my best. And collectively, we were all our best to go win 2 national championships. He said, on the contrary, if I had played in Wimbledon, I would take all those compliments all day long, because at the end of the day, I was the only one on the court. But in football, everybody was on the field with me. And granted, at the end of my career, I'm the one getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, but it was a team sport. And the truth is, you could look at real estate as an individual sport or a team sport. But I promise you, when you look at real estate as a team sport, when you're on calls like this, on masterminds like Ben, you're going to host on Thursday, you're building your team of vendors. At the end of the day, you may get inducted into the Real Estate Hall of Fame, but you got there because there was a collection of incredible people that helped you get there. And the ride or the journey is that much more fulfilling.
Amen. Amen. I tell you what, I've done this for 3 decades, and I haven't gotten to this point without great leadership, mentors, right? People that I've coached, that I've mentored. I've got an amazing right hand who's sitting here right next to me. And we're expecting to go even further this year. And I want a whole tribe of people with me, standing right there beside me. I can tell you, Brett, as I look, so we've got 24 participants on this call, and it's crazy because we got another 20 that are sitting just on the other side of this wall in the stadium, and they'll be able to catch the recording, but they're coming with me also. We're fortunate that we've got some consistency on the folks who join on this. And right now, the majority of these people, they're not even in Dallas. They're in the Midwest, they're in Atlanta, they're in Chicago. We're so fortunate that we're starting to really gain traction and an audience, because I want them to know that we're all in this together, right? Because we're gonna go further together. And Brett, I know your time is short, but I'd love for you.
No, I just I'm reflecting as I'm sitting here on this call with you, and not everybody understands my story, and you don't necessarily need to understand this comment, but I became a team leader for the first time when I was 30 years old in 2007. And was I ready? Probably not. Was I ready in my heart? Absolutely. But if you remember, 2008, the recession hit. And you want to talk about a tough leadership journey. All of a sudden, you're now a leader, and now you get to lead through a recession. And you know how I did it was I drew on people like you, Ben Baker, to be on my team, to guide us all through that success. And, if you think you're going to do any of this by yourself, you're crazy. It is a team of people. And Ben, you're forever on my team. And I'm just incredibly grateful that you invited me to do your rise and grind, sir.
Well, Brett, again, like I said, we don't have to share everything because our journey has been, again, I think it's been an amazing journey, but you know how sensitive I am, and I will not cry on this, but I am
And it's
forever
okay if
grateful.
you did.
Right, when you stepped up the way you did, around the tragedy, uh, forever.
Thank you, ma'am. And here's the thing. This speaks to the team conversation we've been having. Is it's one thing to go at the world alone. It's another way to go at the world with a team of people. But a special team feels like family. And Ben, you've always felt like family to me.
Amen. All right, before we go, I think it's important that these folks, and again, this isn't a Keller Williams conversation, because this isn't about Keller Williams. This is about the real estate family, because
Yeah.
I'm fortunate there are folks here who are not with Keller Williams. But I do think that it's a relevant conversation. Simply talk for a minute about, receiving that tap, Brett.
Oh, yeah,
Speak to
yeah.
that. Speak to that.
The tap. What you're referring to as the tap is we're all on a journey in where we're wanting to go. And everybody has it in their heart, a different destination, or maybe even a fuzzy vision at times of where you want to go in life. And some people's vision's clearer than others. But I do know, and I subscribe to the belief that there's a better version of everybody you could become. Meaning you could become a better father, you could become a better parent, you could become a better friend, you could become a better enemy, you could become a better competitor, you could become a better real estate professional. And when you subscribe to that, that means you're going to show up and do your best. And I mean, you can go back to the days of John Wooden at UCLA saying, hey, we're not here to win games, we're here to show up and bring our best self to every situation. If you do that enough, people take notice. And at some point in time, somebody's going to come tap you on the shoulder and say, I see you. And when they say, I see you, you should listen to whatever comes out of their mouth next, which sometimes is a good thing. And sometimes it's just somebody wanting something from you. But the truth is when you're noticed because you're doing something great, people will tap you on the shoulder. And I would say 9 times out of 10, there's an opportunity that comes out of that next comment. And it may not be the right opportunity, but it's usually opportunity. And that happens in life because you're showing up, doing your best, knowing there's a better version of you to become. And do that enough. It's time on task over time. You do
Amen.
that time on task over time, somebody's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, I see you, Ben Baker. You've got power inside of those bones. Let's go. Let me see if we can help you see it.
Wow. And I again, I appreciate you sharing that, because I know that when you received that tap, to go to Atlanta, it was difficult for you, but it was an opportunity that you couldn't pass. You couldn't pass on.
Right.
I've been fortunate. I just received a call 2 weeks ago about, family reunion, and that, they wanted me to be a guest panelist on one, and probably speaking in front of probably the second or third largest crowd I've ever been in front of. And it'll be a few thousand people. And I'm looking forward to it. But I know that it's because the folks have taken notice. Somebody has seen something, and they're like, Ben, you've got a message that I'd love for these folks to hear. So I'm just so appreciative and so thankful. But my head is down. We're just working. I'm not looking for any recognition there. And matter of fact, this I think is a great transition into my Hero and Shero campaign. That's why I developed it, because I'm looking for people who just do good work. They put their heads down and they don't want any, they don't need any recognition around it. They're just doing good. And those are the people that I like to highlight and spotlight, right? And recognize for just the good they're doing. So Brett, I love you, my brother. I appreciate you. Continue the great work that you're doing there. I'm sure we'll see you in just over a month. So those that are following us to Anaheim, when we're together, we'll make Brett buy the first round of drinks. Brett, I just take a tall Sprite. That's all I got.
Yeah, you're a cheap date.
I'm a cheap date, man. But you know what? I do want some dessert. So
There you go.
because my last name is Baker. So Brett, as we leave, is there any final words that you want to impart?
Yeah, I would just say that I'll go back to what I was saying earlier is if you're starting the year 2023 nervous or worried about the year, you need to shift your mindset quickly. And you need to shift your mindset to who do I need to be as a professional and show up as a professional today. Think of the concept of John Wooden at UCLA. He didn't show up every season saying we're going to win the championship. He showed up every season saying I'm going to show up to practice and we're going to be the very best we can be every day in practice. And that's the mindset of a professional. If you take that mindset in 2023, you'll be on the podium at the end of the year. But you just can't focus on it and make 23 about being a professional. Just like you, Ben Baker.
Wow. Well, Brett, again, my slogan is I bring the meat every week, and I appreciate you bringing it. You've brought filet, which is my favorite cut, right? Because I say,
baby,
right? If I didn't bring some type of value each and every week, these folks wouldn't chime in. And so I love you all. I appreciate you. Brett, again, I appreciate you again for bringing the meat this week. And guys, make sure you chime in next week as we head out to Globe Life with the other 2,000 or 3,000 people here. I appreciate you chiming in, and trust me, next week you'll get the meat, right? So we'll see you guys then. Take care. Thanks, Brett.